Hey y'all, it's Charli. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're new here, like I said, my name is Charli and I am a Boston-based flight attendant for a major US airline. First and foremost, this video is getting uploaded on January 1st of 2024. Happy New Year. I hope everyone who is watching this video has a super blessed and prosperous year, especially those of you who are watching this video to become a flight attendant. As you can tell by the title, this video is going to be all about how to become a flight attendant. I've done a video like this in the past, but I figured let's do a new one, especially for the new year. A lot of airlines are going to be opening up soon, and I really want you guys to get those CJOs and join me on the line. So let's get into it. So I've been a flight attendant for a little over 2 years. I worked for a regional airline for a little while, and now I'm at my mainline. So I do have a little bit of experience. Hopefully this video and my channel in general helps you guys out. If you like flight attendant content, I have lots of flight attendant videos on how to become one, and I have my personal and flight attendant vlogs right here on my channel and on my Instagram. I'll have that right here on the screen and the description box, but do not forget to subscribe so you are notified whenever I post a new video. So you've decided to become a flight attendant. I think a lot of people apply for this job not really knowing what it really entails. So there's so many good things and so many bad things, and I feel like the good things are pretty obvious, but if you want to know some of the things that people don't talk about and some of the stuff that I really want you to know before you try to pursue this career and not have this fictionalized, glamorous version of this job, please go watch the video that I have right here in the cards. It's one of my favorite videos of all time. I think will be really helpful, so watch that one after you watch this one. That's definitely step number one. Make sure you truly understand the job that you're applying for. Next, I want you to ask yourself, what type of flight attendant do you want to be? So off the top of my head, I can think of 3 different types of flight attendants. You have the commercial, which is what I do. There's the private/corporate flight attendants, and then there's military flight attendants. Now, this video is going to be all about commercial flight attendants. I know a lot of people for some reason think that I'm a military flight attendant as well. No, though I am in the United States Air Force, I am not a flight attendant at that job. Along with this video being about commercial flight attendants, this is going to be mostly the ones that are based in the USA, and it's only my experience, what I know from being a flight attendant and my research. So please do further research if you feel like your question wasn't answered well enough, or if you're in a different country, I'm so sorry. I don't think I'm gonna be able to help you as much. But like I said, back to becoming a commercial flight attendant. Picking which airline is right for you. This is so important. Honestly, if you want me to make a full video just about this, I will, because I really want to get into the nitty-gritty of this, and there's so much about this that I have to say. The things that I was looking at when I was deciding which airline, or airlines plural, that I wanted to apply to were their bases, the seniority that comes along with the bases, the pay, the benefits, whether they had a union or not. So you definitely have to choose what's right for you. If you don't mind being on a reserve schedule, you might go for American Airlines. If you don't really want to be doing that reserve schedule for your whole career, you might go for Delta Airlines. But if you definitely want to have a union, you would not go for Delta Airlines, because Delta Airlines does not have a union for the flight attendant. Along with pay, you might want to look at different pay scales determining which one gets paid more. As of right now, Delta gets paid more, but that could change tomorrow. Lots of different airlines are in contract negotiations. So I live in Dallas, Texas. It would make sense for me to apply to work at American Airlines just because I already live here. But when I was becoming a flight attendant, I lived in Nowheresville, Alabama, so it really didn't matter which base I went to. I knew I was going to move somewhere fun and commute in. Some people want to be a commuter, some people do not. So definitely look at the base choices, the routes that they work, all of that when deciding which airline is right for you. Speaking of the routes, you need to look at if you want to apply to mainlines or regionals, or both. 2.5 years ago, I was applying for airlines and I applied for both. I applied for a couple of regionals. I think I applied for American Airlines, Delta Airlines, and each one of their regionals. When I actually got hired by one of American Airlines regionals, I worked there for about maybe a month, and then I got called to go to a job interview from American Airlines. And then I considered that, and then I got another call from my current airline. I definitely suggest putting in different applications. You're gonna get offers at different times. It could be like 6 months before they call you. Just make sure you pick the right airline for you. So I wanted to up my chances for getting hired by any airline, so I just put in all types of applications to airlines that I thought would work with me. Let's talk a little bit about what are the difference between these two airlines. So your mainlines. Your mainlines are your Deltas, your Americans, your Uniteds, your Southwest. These are mainline carriers. We get to go all over the world. I've been to all these different places because I am a mainline flight attendant. These are the routes that my airline travels to. When I was a regional flight attendant, I was based in Dallas, Texas, and I went to Garden City, Kansas. I went to Lubbock, Texas. I went to Grand Island, Nebraska. Smaller places, but regional airlines, you're not traveling too far on those smaller planes. You're going to those little cities that can't fill up the big planes, so they want to take their little planes out there. So my regional, we went from anywhere in the United States, we went to Canada, and we went to Mexico. So it's definitely more limited. You're a regional flight attendant, you're working the region. If you'd like me to do a full video or podcast episode on regional versus mainline flight attendants, I definitely have planned on doing that, and I'll make an Instagram post as well. So let's talk about the requirements to become a flight attendant. Most mainlines have a requirement of being 21 and up. There is no cap on how old you can be, I don't believe. As far as age, most major US airlines, those mainlines, want you to be at least 21 years old. For regionals, I believe that you can be 19 and apply. There is no set height requirement for my airline. There is a kind of reach requirement. I have a flight attendant friend who is all of maybe 4'11", and she works for the same airline that I do. It was totally fine. And when you go to your face-to-face interview, if you're a woman, you're usually wearing heels, so that gives you a little bit more height. As for weight, in the United States for our commercial airlines, there is no weight limit to being a flight attendant. I'm pretty sure that's illegal, but you do have to be able to fit comfortably in a jump seat and use your seatbelt, because obviously they don't want you bouncing all around the cabin. This is for your safety. Education. So from all the airlines that I know of, you do have to have a high school diploma or your GED. You do not have to have a college degree. Obviously it looks better on a resume, but it is not required. I know plenty of flight attendants don't have any secondary education experience. And that's all the requirements that I can think of off the top of my head. If you have any other specific questions, go ahead and put them in the comment box. So after you've decided what type of flight attendant you want to be and you've picked which airline is right for you, it's time to start putting in those applications. The thing about applying for a flight attendant position is that you have to be on it. It's not just like a regular Walmart job where they have the applications open all the time. Most major airlines usually have their applications open maybe 3 times a year, and if they're open, they're usually not open for more than 2 weeks at a time. Now, you can catch a long stretch of hiring, but it's not that common. Like I said, usually it's between 1 to 2 weeks. If you want a way to know when these airlines are hiring, please follow me on Instagram, because I always post it on my stories. Hey, this airline just opened up. You can definitely follow other flight attendants who work for that airline. They usually say, hey, come to my airline, boost my seniority. But on my Instagram, every week I post one infographic that says these are the list of airlines that are hiring right now. Make sure you go ahead and put those applications in when you see us open. So yeah, it's kind of tricky, but you have to keep watching it. So let's say the airline that you want to work for is actually hiring. All you have to do, just like any other job, is to type into Google so-and-so airlines hiring flight attendants, go to their career page, click on the flight attendant position. Please make sure you're applying to actual flight attendant positions. One of my subscribers was telling me how they had an interview for I think it said cabin crew position, but it was people who were cleaning the cabin, not being a flight attendant. She accidentally interviewed for a cleaning position instead. So please, please, please be careful about what you're actually applying to. Okay, let's get into the application. Usually the first thing you're gonna see on your application is a space to upload your resume. Now, for your resume, you need to have it nice, clean, organized. I'm gonna tell you 3 things that they're really looking out for in a flight attendant resume. Any safety history, customer service history, and any teamwork. So you know, like at the top of a resume where it says objective, something that I usually put at the top, this is just off the top of my head, please do not judge me. Outgoing, reliable, emergency department nurse seeking flight attendant position to use her critical thinking, teamwork, and customer service skills at so-and-so airline. Something like that. Like I said, that's just off the top of my head. But yeah, sprinkling those words in there is gonna be something that they definitely pick up on, especially if there's not actually a human being reading this. If they're using one of those computer softwares, those are gonna be some of the buzzwords that they're gonna pick up on from your resume. So once again, I need your resume to focus on safety, customer service, and teamwork. Also, maybe like being detail-oriented, things like that. Teamwork is really one of those ones that can be interchangeable with other words, but safety and customer service are the top 2 things as a flight attendant. So after you upload your resume, it is going to ask you one or two questions. They are usually, are you authorized to work in the United States? Are you authorized to work outside of the United States? And are you willing to move to get this job? Now, if you say no to any of these, I promise you, you are not getting the job. You say yes to all these things. If you live in Atlanta and you want to work for Delta Airlines, and you only want to work for Delta Airlines if you are based in Atlanta, you're gonna get the opportunity to transfer. The base choice you want might end up being open. You never know. But you guys, do not say no if you want this job. So next we're gonna go to the questionnaire / assessment. This part tends to trip a lot of people up. Honestly, some of the questions on there are kind of hard to answer. Some of them have all good answers, some of them have all terrible answer choices. But it's really trying to see what type of flight attendant you would be, what type of person do you see yourself as, and what type of person do other people see you as. Some of the questions that are on there are like, people consider me an outgoing person compared to I consider myself a hard worker. And you have to pick one. So if you're sitting there thinking I'm a very outgoing hard worker, which one do I choose? I can definitely see why this would be confusing. So that's the type of questions that assessment is. Kind of see how you rate yourself, how you value yourself, and how other people see you. So just calm down and take the assessment. Be honest. Don't be fake, but realize this is a part of you getting a job. Don't tell them that you hate people. Don't tell them that you like to be lazy. Like, be honest, but also like, girl or boy, this is a part of your job interview. So they received your resume and they like your experience. They saw your assessment and they feel like they can work with the type of person that you are. They are going to invite you to the next step. The next step would be the video or phone interview. I don't know what airlines are still doing phone interviews. I feel like most airlines are going to the virtual video interview, whether it's one person videotaping you from their headquarters and it's actual face-to-face like Zoom, whether it's a few proctors and a whole bunch of flight attendant applicants, or whether it's a computer-based proxy asking you questions and you have to record your answer. This is all the next step of the flight attendant interview process. So honestly, if you make it to this point, congratulations. You made it to your virtual interview. I do have a video on my channel all about it. I might do an updated one because I do have lots and lots of new tips that I picked up just from participating in more virtual interviews. But that was one of my favorite videos that I've ever done, so I would definitely go back and watch that one as well. So for your virtual interview, there's a lot of situational based questions. This is mainly what it's going to be about. For this interview, they normally have you introduce yourself to the group, and then they would ask you a situational or multiple situational based questions. For example, what would you do if a passenger refused to put their bag underneath the seat in front of them and they wanted to hold it in their lap? Or what would you do if someone was having a medical emergency and the plane was taxiing out? Questions like that. If you want a whole video on questions that you could be asked, comment it down below or hit me up on Instagram. I'm also going to start offering consultations, mock interviews, resume building, all of that stuff when I get my website back up and running. But if you're interested in that, for now, from a small fee, I can do anything you want, so I can help you land your CJO. Just hit me up on my business email. It'll be in the description box. And like I said, for more tips for your virtual interview, go watch my virtual interview video. But just some quick ones off the top of my head. Make sure you have good lighting. Make sure that you are dressed for success. Make sure you're speaking loud, clear, good posture, and always smile. Even if someone else is technically being interviewed, you are still being interviewed, because they can see you at all times when you're on that Zoom. Your camera has to be on. So when it's someone else's turn to speak, don't just sit there and start eating or picking your nose or picking your teeth or not looking at the camera. You still have to sit up straight and you still need to smile and nod in agreement. If you need more tips on that, I'll do another video, or you can go watch my last one. Okay, so usually pretty soon after you do your video interview, they will invite you to your face-to-face. Now this is when I actually really got nervous. So they read your resume, they think that your experience can work well as a flight attendant. They saw your assessment answers, so they think that you have enough values and common sense to become a flight attendant. You did your virtual interview, so they saw a little bit of your personality, and they heard you answer your situational based question. And they saw that you were able to follow directions, make it to your virtual interview on time, look presentable and all of that. Now they really want to get to know your personality, and they're gonna invite you to the face-to-face. I used to be really nervous about face-to-face, but here's the thing. They already want you because they saw your resume. They invited you to the video interview and still wanted to see more of you. They just want to see how you move. They want to see how you react. They want to see how you are around other people. people. So now they just want to see the embodiment of that amazing resume that you gave them. Just take all the skills that you learned from before, everything on your resume, all the good answers you gave on your assessment, you showing up on time, being dressed, being prepared for your virtual interview. Wrap that all up and just be the person that you told them that you are. Just show up and show out. So for your face-to-face, they usually fly you out to their headquarters. This is pretty much an all-day process of them getting to know you. There's usually lots of little stations. They might have you work together to set up a cart or work together in a group to do a little fun little assignment. Like if you were stuck on the moon, out of all the things listed, which ones do you think would be the most important to have? Stuff like that, just random things, because they're watching how you communicate with others. Are you a leader? Are you a follower? Are you a servant leader? They're just seeing how you interact with other people. They're also gonna probably make you do a sit and reach test. The sit test, they want you to sit down in a jump seat and make sure you can fasten your seatbelt. That's it, no one's gonna weigh you. And then the reach test, they want to see if you can reach up and reach the emergency equipment if it's in an overhead bin. No one's actually going to measure your height. Throughout this whole process, the face-to-face and the video interview, you need to smile, you need to be bubbly, you need to be gracious, you just need to be the presence that you would want if you were on an aircraft. No matter what question they throw at you, don't feel like you have to rush an answer. Just calm down and give them the right answer. I know you guys know what they want to hear, but also add a little personality to it. Don't do too much, but don't be stiff as a board. Don't be a robot. Like I said, I'll do a whole video about possible questions that they could ask you. You can look on Glassdoor. I'm sure there's other videos here on YouTube that have some of the questions. Honestly, looking the part is half the battle. Have everything required that they told you to bring. Be confident, be friendly, and show up and show out. Be the person on the resume. I promise you, these airlines like their money. They would not kick a passenger off a plane for you if they didn't want you. And they need amazing flight attendants. If you truly think that you would be amazing for the job, that's all that matters. And if you don't get the job, listen, it might not be the right airline for you. I've got a thanks but no thanks before, but now I'm at an amazing airline that I can't imagine myself anywhere else. So you never know what's gonna happen. Back to the face-to-face, I mentioned a thanks but no thanks. So a lot of people think if you don't get the CJO, the conditional job offer right there on the spot, you will not get the job as a flight attendant, but that is not true. Some people end up getting called back or getting emailed back. They always say, we'll reach out to you in 7 to 10 business days or whatever. Sometimes they forget, sometimes they're a little disorganized, and sometimes you didn't get the job. Either way, if this is what you want to do, wait the amount of time and apply again, or go to a different airline. There's so many different choices, but do not give up if this is what you want to do. So after that, if they do offer you a CJO on the spot, they're gonna take your urine, and they're gonna take your fingerprints, and they're gonna run the background check. If all that clears out, you have what is called a conditional job offer. Now, keyword, conditional. You are still interviewing. Just because they gave you training dates does not mean that you are a flight attendant for that airline. You are not a flight attendant until they pin those wings on your chest. So that's what we're gonna talk about next, training. So trainings can range anywhere from 3 weeks to 8 weeks. My current airline, I believe our training was 6 weeks when I went through, but it's 8 weeks now? Maybe. My regional airline, my training was maybe 3.5 weeks, so it definitely depends. So you're gonna get trained on emergency equipment, emergency procedures, commands, things like that. Going down the slide, operating the doors, that's a big one. Your pre-flight checks, things like that are the things that you're gonna get trained on. Don't feel like you have to study before you go there because you're probably gonna study the wrong thing. Most of the things that you learn, you're gonna learn when you're actually working. You're gonna learn those first 6 months to a year when you're actually on the planes. Another thing about training, sometimes it's paid, sometimes it's not. The airline that I work for did pay us for training, but my first airline did not. But at the regional airline, did get food and housing. At my mainline, they did not pay for our food. We only got the housing. So I would definitely suggest either way saving up some money, especially if you're gonna be moving to a crash pad or moving to a new city after you get your base assignments. Or if you need to take care of some bills back home, definitely have a little money saved up. Another tip for flight attendant training. You're gonna have fun, you're gonna meet people that you're gonna be friends with for the rest of your life. You're gonna meet people who might even be in your wedding. You might meet your future spouse. But at the end of the day, remember, you are there to get your wings. Don't do anything stupid and get kicked out. At my flight attendant training, we literally had 2 girls get into a fight the night before graduation. And do you think they got their wings the next day? No. They gotta fly back home. I could spend all day talking about training. I already know that's gonna have to be another video. I'm sure I have an old one, but I'm gonna have to update it because I've learned so much more since the first time that I did a training video. I do want to mention, during training you are going to pick your base. So let's talk about base assignments. How you choose your base is going to be based off of which bases that your airline offers, but you might not have that full list. Only some of the base options are going to be available. My airline consists of like 12 bases total. I only had 2 options, Boston or Minneapolis, and I obviously chose Boston. And that just depends on how many people they're accepting, and it goes in order of seniority. Now, on the line, seniority is how long you've been at that airline, but since you're all starting on the same day, it's gonna go by age. So the oldest will pick first and the youngest will get whatever's left or pick last. Once again, when looking at your base, you need to look at the routes that they fly, the seniority, how fast you'll be off reserve. Me personally, I'm based in Boston. I got off of A days in probably a little bit less than a year. If I would have been based in our most senior base, Atlanta, I'd be on reserve or A days for probably the next 40 years of my career. So yeah, definitely keep that in mind. Another thing when choosing your base, look at how expensive the bases are, because I would not have went to Boston if I would have known it's the 4th most expensive city in the United States. That's why I'm living in Dallas, Texas now, commuting to Boston, because I would rather do that than pay the rent in Boston. So keep in mind there is going to be a time in your career when you can transfer, and it probably won't be that long. Probably within the first 6 months to a year, you'll be able to go to whatever base you want. So when you're picking which base you want to go to, dream big, but don't get your hopes up. It's gonna be another thing I'm gonna have to do a whole video about, how to choose your flight attendant base and the things that you should look out for, because I have a lot to say on the topic. So after all that, you'll get to graduate training. That graduation day was one of the best days of my life. My family was there to support me. My friends were there. The graduation ceremony was really nice. My daddy pinned those wings on me, and him and I both cried. And my dad was not a crier, but it was one of the best moments I've ever had with my dad, and it's a day I'll never forget. So once you go across that stage, you get that certificate, and you have someone you love pin those wings on your chest, you are then a flight attendant. But then you'll probably be on probation for the next 6 months. But that's not what this is about. Congratulations. I'm so excited for you guys. I really, really hope this process works out for you. If you want to reach out to me personally, please reach out to me on my flight attendant Instagram, CharliTakesFlight, or in my business email that will be in the description box. Like I said, in 2024, I'm going to start offering more consultations. I've been doing it a little here and there. Now, since I'm taking a little break from flying, I have plenty of time to truly dedicate to you guys and getting y'all in the air so y'all can get those wings. If you need any information on my rates and how much I charge for that service, message me on my business email. If there's anything that I didn't cover well enough for you, hit me up in my business email or on Instagram, or go ahead and put it in the comments. Thank y'all so much for watching. Please, please, please subscribe to my channel so you get to see all of my new flying adventures whenever I get back in the air, and my future videos, because I have lots and lots planned for 2024. Lots of travel content, lots more videos on how to become a flight attendant, tips for new flight attendants and things like that. And I'm gonna be way more dedicated to my flight attendant podcast. I'm just so excited for 2024, and I'm so excited for you guys to get your wings. Thank you so much for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a blessed day.